Do you fancy learning how to paint a tiger in watercolour? Let me show you some little clips on how I painted the tiger's nose. Let's get stuck in. So the first thing I need to do is look at the colours I'm going to be using. So I'm thinking like an orangey, reddy colour for the nose to begin with. So I tend to wet the nose first. I like to kind of work in a wet and wet kind of feel to the nose. When the nose is wet, allow the water to sink in that little bit, and I can start to add that colour over the top. That gives you a chance to blend a little bit, you know, so we can think about adding colours over the top of that, and it gives you a bit of working time at the same time. So I'm going to gently apply this wash on there, then add a thicker version of the same colours, which is Scarlet Lake, Cadmium Orange, that kind of colour, over the top in places though. So I'm going to gradually outline the nose just a little bit first of all, onto the wet paper, and then I can start thinking about softening that down and blending those lines together, thinking about creating shape and form at the same time. I'm looking at the darker areas, and I'm going to gradually build this up in layers as I go along. So just a little bit at a time, and just take your time with this as well, because you really want to build up in layers. Instead of going too dark too quick, do it lighter in lighter stages and gradually get darker as we go. So I'm going to add the slightly darker version of the same mix by adding a little bit of brown to the mix, just to darken it down just a touch. So working on this again, I'm trying to work on the underside of the nostrils, trying to think about the shape and the form, the curvature there. You can see I'm gradually bringing that curved feel to it, then lifting off a little bit of paint as I go along. So I'm going to think about also adding a bit more shape to the top of the nose, and I'm going to do this exactly the same again. I'm going to re-wet the area which is now completely bone dry. Make sure it's completely bone dry before you do that. Then when you re-wet that, you can add the colour over the top to kind of get that feeling of curve effect, because it is a little bit curved, you know, around the top of the nose. When I look at the photograph, I can see that. So that's gently blended out as per usual. Blend, soften, and then build up in layers as I mentioned earlier. Now I'm going to go a little bit darker in there as well, so I'm adding a little bit of a kind of black hint towards the same colour. So again, I'm working on the next layer of darkness. Now I'm thinking about texture. So using my 00 brush, I'm thinking about stippling. So using the stippling technique, try and get a little bit of texture in that nose now. I want to get the feeling of like a wet but rough nose, if you know what I mean. The thing with texture is when you're stippling as well, you can really add the finer details, and you can add more dots together, closer together, to get the feeling of shape. And obviously the underlayers which we put on there, the foundation wash initially, will really help. Now you can see what I want to do on this part is work on the darker areas. Now remember, obviously this video is completely real time for the full length of this video, so there's no sections where you know, I'm going to skip anything out. And obviously you've got my normal voice while I'm painting at the same time, of course. So I'm going to blend this down and pull out a few lines from the wet paint, just kind of think about how this is going to work at a later stage. Going to get darker and darker. Using my bigger brush this time round, using my size 5. Then back to my 00 brush. I'm thinking about pulling some of these, pulling these lines out. It's actually quite handy if you, while the paint is wet, you can drag a few lines out just by barely touching that paper. Now, as you can see, I'm adding the white highlights over the top. This really brings this tiger to life. The rest of the painting is done at this stage. Again, the full tutorial is on my online learning channel, so if you wanted to look at that, you can do. So there you go, that's how to paint a tiger's nose. Now if you fancy having a go at this, I'm working on a complete video tutorial, which is about 233 minutes, so that's what, roughly 3.5 hours plus of video content. I'll guide you through step by step, showing you a variety of techniques on how to do that. I'll also give you the outline drawing, a PDF guide and the photograph to work from as well. And don't forget, this is just a cut down version of how to paint the nose. The entire tiger video is all in real time. To find out more, just simply click on the links below. Now remember to click on subscribe, like and share, and of course you can always comment down below as well. So come and join me on my online teaching channel and let's get painting this tiger together. Bye bye for now.